All right. All right, practice over. Got another one tomorrow morning, and then they go home for break. Any questions?
Rich, talked an awful lot this spring, but you drill down a couple of positions maybe. Start with offensive line. You got some guys coming back, transfers.
Do it? Who?
Well. Huh?
Who?
Well,
okay. Come on, Greg.
five. Justin Terry, Landon
who?
Livingston, Nick Cray.
There you go. How much did they play?
No. Probably Landon played a little bit.
Oh, you just mean come back. You didn't say veterans coming back.
No. I'm just saying, you got a few returnees, a lot of transfers. Just give me a look at what the offensive line looks like right now.
It's a work in progress. Good group of guys. You got good coaches. You mentioned Landon and Nick and those guys that were here give great effort. Love coaching them, but we got none of them have really played, and so I sometimes got to remember that and be more patient. But they're going to be all right. Just not ready now.
Is what you're asking them to do entirely different from what they've done in the past?
I don't know. Without watching all the film and stuff, I mean, some of it's similar. I think the tempo is probably a little different times, but they did some tempo stuff. And they did some of the run scheme stuff that we did. So it's not all that different really in as far as schemes go, but probably there's the pace, probably tempo a little bit, and then obviously the terminology, that's everybody has their own terminology. So that's usually in the spring the one of the points that we got to remember. And sometimes it helps those guys that this is what we called it and this is what they called it. And if they could if that helps them, that's fine. Whatever they got to do to learn.
And the new guys, the new linemen, what do you think of some of them?
Yeah, there's some, Taikis and Chemo, and those guys are pretty athletic. I think we got Robbie. We got some decent athleticism, but again, they haven't really played much either where they're at a little bit. So it's still an area of concern just because there's no experience. But with just two returning starters where we got, every position has a lack of experience.
With the spring break and having them gone, is it in your time, is it good to kind of have that break, or would you rather them go straight through and then break off? I mean, what's it been for you kind of?
Yeah, I've always, it seems like me, I don't know if I've ever had it where they didn't have a break, so I couldn't speak on to the otherwise, but they're probably happy to have a break from me, and I'm a little bit happy to have a break from them.
Does it help? Does it help having?
Oh, it's going to help me for damn sure, But I also think we need probably a little bit of pause as coaches to kind of do, okay, let's halfway through, this is what we've accomplished, this is what we haven't accomplished, this is what we still need to do over the last just two more weeks. So that'll be part of my time next week while the guys are going on break is, okay, what do we really need to get done in the last handful of practices?
And in your experience, how much does that kind of getting to sit down and kind of like revisit and kind of review up in the back end?
Yeah, you'd think it'd help at so many different spots I've been to, but if I probably look back at my first spring notes post-spring, and it's been ugly every time, 100%. I mean, I'm talking about spring game and everything else. It's like makes you question everything, so I got to sometimes pause, because today was one of those days like, are you kidding me? This is mean. But it's first spring, so we got time.
So another position then, defensive line, your interior, again, some guys who've played.
A little bit. Ham Russell's played a little bit. Asani has played a little bit. That's about it. Who's that?
Or practicing at all?
Who?
Veteran?
Yeah, Eddie's playing. He's been a little bit limited. He's played. He's probably got the most experience of all of them. So there's a handful of guys, but I think their progress is coming pretty good. But that's the same thing. Like any coach, you can't have too many of those guys, and you can't have too many pass rushers. And we didn't get all of our needs addressed probably in the first portal. In the second portal, there's less available, but there's still going to be a handful that we have to probably try to get some competition and to address where we're a little bit lacking in depth.
Is that defensive line?
Everywhere.
Oh.
Other than maybe, quarterbacks I don't see us taking a quarterback in a portal, but every other position is pretty open.
You mentioned edge guys.
Yeah.
You brought a couple of those in. What do you think of a couple of those?
Yeah, I'm looking here. I don't leave out with it. Brandon Siders. He was sick today, but Siders has had a good camp. Let's see who else are the new guys that we. Jamari Robinson. He's been a little limited in the last week or two, but we've seen flashes from him when he was there, and then we have Oxley and Keenan Eck, two pass rush guys that'll be here in the summer. So I think that's always, every coach will tell you that you got to have guys that can rush the quarterback in any league. But that's been an area of concern, and we try to address that in the portal.
Sticking with defense, how advantageous has it been having someone like Jeff Casteel, who you have such a deep knowledge and experience with, to be back here and helping you with the defense?
Yeah, Jeff's a good football coach. That's the biggest part with that, is that he's been there, seen there, done it, and he's going to be a great resource for Zach, Alley, and the rest of the coaches, because he's seen about anything and everything, and very knowledgeable. So it's great to have him and his son Jake. It's father-son team.
Well, with Jeff, he was DC here before, now working as position coach.
Yeah.
How does that dynamic feel when you were running the defense at one point, but now you're kind of helping someone?
Everybody got their role. Mm-hmm. Be as good as you can in the role you got. You know what I mean? So Zach's in charge of the defense, and then Jeff can help. And those guys will all, you got to, understand that, where it is. And Jeff's not an ego guy. Jeff's not one that, I was this or that. No. Jeff Casteel was just a really good ball coach. And, of course, I think he's a great person, too, great family. So, as I said, it's good to have him there. And I know some of the stuff that he's done in the past is similar to some of the stuff Zach's doing. So that's a good combination.
Did you have to talk him out of retirement, or did he call you and say, hey?
I've been talking to him for a couple years. When I was down in Jack State, in fact, I brought him down last year, right? Brought him down last year for a little bit as a consultant, I said, I can't pay you much, but I can get you some place to live and give you a few free meals. And Jake was on the staff, so he'd come down and see his son. So he came down for a few weeks and helped us out a little bit. And then so when I got here, I said, are you really retired, or would you? And he still wants to coach ball. He's a football coach.
When does a team start developing a personality? It can't do it yet because you don't have everybody here and you don't have known leaders. How does that come about?
Good question. I've always thought, do they get the personnel in the first off season when we do the winter workouts and the tour duty? Do they get it after the first spring? I think it's probably more after the summer's over, maybe in the first 2 weeks of fall camp, because you're still going to have new guys. And then, unfortunately, cutting the roster down to 105, our roster's probably not going to get determined until camp. And that's where it's a little bit more difficult, with the goalposts moving, whatever, that we still not sure who the whole roster is going to be probably until midsummer. And when that is done, you would hope that everything you're getting taught and trying to get done, they'll form their personality. So I would suspect that it's starting to form now. It'll be finalized at the end of the summer.
You can't get leaders yet until you have guys that know their players.
Yeah, you might get a little bit, but I think because everything is new to all of them, it's hard for a couple of them to emerge as, I'm not worried about the raw part of it, but just I like leadership that teaches. In other words, tell them, about this is where you line up, or this is where the play is, or this is what your assignment is. And you like to have one at every position that it helps the coaches. Now, I got a bunch of coaches, so we shouldn't have to have that help, but eventually we'll get to the point where there's probably one guy at every position that kind of helps the other guys at the position, what the schemes are, their assignment, and all that kind of stuff. It's like in quarterback. I mean, all of them are progressing well, but they're all trying to learn it for the first time too. So it takes a little time.
I noticed when I was walking in that you guys had as you guys practicing in the stadium, had someone over on the PA like calling first down, stuff like that. I know it's little, but how much does stuff like that help, especially these new guys, kind of get used to the entire experience of
the lack of situational awareness is a dilemma in football everywhere, and the whole program. It just boggles my mind if you're a coach or an analyst or a player or a GA or whatever, you should be aware of the situations, down and distance, where you're out in the field, time in the game, play clock. I mean, the lack of situational awareness that I see everywhere is just kind of a pet peeve of mine. It bothers me. So we try to overemphasize. Everything is down in distance. We're trying to have guys, and we're using a 25-second clock and all that kind of stuff. So I think again, that's part of my job, is to make sure everybody in the program is aware of it. And it's still not nearly close to what it needs to be. I can tell you from today's practice. You'd like to be a fly on the wall in today's staff meeting, because that'll be part of my lecture there, that same thing. So, but we'll get it eventually.
Where has situational awareness gone? I don't think, back your first tour duty here, I don't think it was that prevalent, that lack of situational awareness. But
no, it's been everywhere, every year, all the time, every level. I mean, how many times you watch? How you get a delay game? How many times the NFL gets down to 1 second before they snap the ball because they want to be in the perfect play every time, and so they drop it all the way down to 1 second. So the defense can disguise for 24 or 39 seconds because you're going to snap it with one. So I don't, but that's also like it's, you're in 35-yard line going in, and it's third down and 5. You're in 4-down territory, so you're not going to take a sack. You're not going to lose yardage. If it's 4th and 2, you might be able to go for it there. It's not that hard to be situationally aware if you're a football player or a coach. But for some reason, it's still a problem until I'll yell till it's no longer a problem.
There you go. Is that where the kind of the quick guys come in for you? Because you can process that quickly and go, okay, this is down, this is your line.
I'll give you a situation. You guys, I know, would be very critical of coaches, which you should be if this happens, and it has still happened to me in last year times. Like it's third down, and whether you're getting ready to have to maybe punt it or you're getting ready to put your punt return unit in. Why would you ever not have the right 11 guys on the field when it becomes 4th down? So how much lack of awareness do you have to have 10 guys or 12 guys and sometimes 10 guys on the punt block team? I mean, it's third down. Potentially you're going to have to punt it or punt return it. So those guys should be already up, helmet on, butt strapped, and ready to go. And then all they're doing is waiting for the call and they run on the field. Like people put those little mats on there with circles. You ever see those? They put mats on there and right in the middle of the field, and they got 10 circles. Well, so that's what you got to do. You got to make them stand on a mat. What if the ball's down there? You're going to move the mat? No. So, just make them aware of the situation. If you're on a punt or a punt block team and it's third down and you could potentially punt or punt block, you should have your helmet ready, chin strap ready. You're standing up on the sidelines and you're just ready to get on the field. But that still happens, and it still happened to me and this last year. Not much, but it still happens, and I see it in games, and it just drives me crazy. It shouldn't, but it does. Slow news day.
The roots of your relationship with Jeff, is that just kind of going head-to-head back to Glenville Shepherd or clinics? Probably. Yeah, I had forgot about that. We went against each other when he was in the WVIAC, now the Mountain East. Yeah, so that's when I first recognized his work, and then when I hired him here, that was the first time we had worked together. So, and we were different, when we were doing
the odd stack back in whenever that was, early 2000s. It was a little unique too. There wasn't a lot of people to do that, so the whole staff was kind of learning it on the run a little bit.
Do you remember anything about going against the Shepherd teams and your offense?
Always I always thought they were very well coached. I always thought they were very physical, and that was always probably back in those days, the Glenville days. That was always the hardest team to go against every year. So, I had a lot of respect for them coming into it.
Your schemes, Rich, you mentioned unique. Your schemes have often been unique compared to everybody else. Is that something that you think is important? Do something a little different than everybody else?
Well, I think if you can be good at different, that's good. I don't think just being different makes it good, if that makes sense. But I think if you can be different and good, that's an added bonus because they don't see it every week and all that. But I'm not being different just for the sake of being different. I just think that's what we understand and what I know. But I said we're going to continue to evolve. I'll study in the summer, and if somebody's doing something I think we can fit in our system and it's better than what we're doing, or we can add on to it, I'm going to do it. There's just so much stuff out there. You can do too much. And I always, like I said in here before, it's not what you call, it's what you can execute. And right now, we're not executing nearly enough. But again, that's first spring, so I'm not going to panic.
How many coaches think the way you just explained, and how many do you think are kind of more stubborn? They're saying, this is my thing, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's different. A lot of head coaches aren't involved in the schemes as much. They're kind of, they probably got to be a head coach by being a coordinator or calling plays, most of them. But then a lot of them give it up. I don't know how many still call. But if you're still calling it, or you're involved in it, whatever, then you have to stay involved in studying what you do and everybody else does. I've said to myself, I guess, if I get pulled away so much that I can't sit in offensive meetings, or I can't study what we're doing, or doing all that, then I need to give the play calling up. But I usually work my schedule around to where the X's and O's part, I'm going to be right in the middle of it. And I enjoy it. That's part of, there's a lot of this job, maybe not as fun as some other stuff, but I enjoy that X's and O part of it.
The way fourth down is, you mentioned third and fourth down and situational awareness. The way fourth down is becoming offensive down now. Do you wonder why it wasn't when you were first coaching, and how that happened and what that means to you?
Yeah, I think in nature, everybody's was more conservative for whatever reason back then. I don't know if you still probably, if you looked at the study, I didn't study, if you probably still had anywhere between 11 to 14 possessions a game, so those possessions are valuable. So I don't know why we didn't go back then, but I think, and I know people have said analytics, and there's some really good stuff that you can learn from some analytics stuff, but I don't know if analytics takes into personnel as much, like, what that quarterback can or can't do as much. I think it's more of a feel for me. But again, I'm always like, those possessions are so valuable that you hate to give one up if it's crossed midfield and it's fourth and short. So we'll probably go for it. I don't think I've ever, if I ever punt inside the 40-yard line going in on a normal down and distance, check my pulse, because I probably passed out on the sidelines or something. I mean, we're going to go for it 100% of the time, inside the 40, but that's, most people would, I would think. But I've seen people punt before and inside the 35. I think one time inside the 30, and I thought, this guy's, you start to question, maybe he got something going on with Vegas or something. What the heck's going on around here, So we'll be pretty aggressive.
I guess the way it is today now, and the way they're using that, you never would have done that fake punt in the Sugar Bowl.
That was, I'm a little more conservative, like, you don't want to put your defense in a bad spot, but I do, somebody asked me about that, Bob, and it looked like a little risky, but at the time we weren't really stopping them, and I said, well, they're either going to go 40 or 80 with it, so we might as well go ahead and try to get, but that was a situation where, I'll tell you, you might have heard the story, we had ran a spread punt, and if we got a certain look, like a man coverage look, and they're running off with us, then we see it up in the box, and then we get ready to run the fake the next time. And so earlier in the game, they gave us the look we wanted to run a fake it, but that was the first time we look at it. So whatever it was left in the game, 4 or 5 minutes left, and the coach that was in the box is supposed to tell me, Coach, we got the look, let's call it, let's go. All right, so I'm like, all right, here we go, we got to win the game. And they've been giving us a look. Let me know if we got the look, right, Coach? Let me know if we got the look. Well, we line up in there, and do we have it? Do we have it? Crickets. Nothing. He didn't say it, so I'm like, let's run it. And then we caught it and made it. And then I got on the coach's ass. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? He said, I ain't making that call. Are you kidding me? No. So anyway, like, a little bit lucky it worked out.
Do you ever run the tush push, or even ever?
Oh yeah. We're quarterback sneak. We're passionate about it.
Yeah.
We're not good as Philly's good at it because they're just really good at it, but they also got a quarterback that squats like 650. You know what I mean? Jalen is going to push it. He's going to push the pile himself a little bit there. So, but yeah, we've been running it for a few years.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.